so wonderful to be here with the two of you.
Hello,
Hi,
George.
George.
Hi. Vanessa, I want to start by asking, this is the second time in recent months that you've played someone who is really fighting for her family. And I'm curious, especially with where we leave Lynette and how we feel about things without spoilers. What would you like to see, or how do you feel about what's next for her?
Hmm.
And, for Sue Storm, also emotionally, because in both cases, there's kind of like we're wondering what the next evolution is going to
Yes, yes, good question. I think, I think that's the question that's going to be hardest for people to ask at the end of the film, which is like, yeah, but then what happens? And I almost want to see something completed. And I
be.
guess the thing is, she's at the beginning of her journey of taking care of herself truly, because this is the behavior is very destructive, but completely understandable given the circumstances. And even though there may be very few people that have gone through any night that extreme, it's still it's still a kind of metaphor and allegory for the people that have to make these decisions daily, and that it can be this way or this way, and that way's wrong apparently later on, and that way's right, but this could have been right and that could have been wrong, and the kind of lack of parity with how like the system and the hierarchy of a system supports people that doesn't that are the most desperate. I think Lynette is at the beginning of saying no to things and saying no to her impulses and being alone. Uh, that's what I hope for her, that she gets some quiet and that she's supported and that therefore she can begin to like give herself love. Um, and for Sue, I loved it. I love that I get to continue with Sue because it's so interesting. And I've been thinking a lot doing Avengers and stuff about how someone that's been through in the space of basically a week has given birth and has died and come back to life, and how a death experience like that would change you. And so I've been listening to a lot of people that have had those kind of experiences and what they learn, and therefore how different they are after they come back from that. And so that's the kind of Sue that I'm really interested in
That's cool.
next.
Awesome. I want to take something you said there, and it's part of what I wanted to ask Benjamin.
Thanks.
This film tackles some really big modern issues, homelessness crisis, crime, but also it creates context. Like people are pushed into things that from the outside we judge, we don't always know the extremes. I'm really fascinated by your exploration of those themes
Mm.
and kind of how you want audiences to come, what do you want them to come away thinking about those topics and those issues, because they're loaded and important, and I think the film asks us to have a little compassion.
Well, I think one of my experience of going, and look, it's not something that's unique to America. It's but recently when I've been to Los Angeles or San Francisco, the huge amount of homelessness that is evident on the streets around you is quite shocking. And I guess I was sort of interested in where did some of those journeys start? And I think as you rightly said, it's a sort of a uniquely modern tragedy that in this current climate that, there's a place where you might have two or three jobs and you are not really struggling even to pay for your own home. And I think Lynette certainly represents those millions who are like one check away from a paycheck away from collapse. So I guess, yeah, I was interested in that story of the American working class that I think is also universal. There's nurses, those single mums, those caregivers who are being priced out of the cities they live in. And in terms of what I want an audience to take away, I guess it's a sympathy towards those people in the country that are struggling.
Yeah, I you did two incredible things early on, exposition wise, and the exposition in the film's great. You used news to let us know about the crisis,
Yeah,
and by combining it visually with her experience and
yeah.
where she's driving around, we connect that that's the stakes. Can you talk about how you know when you're doing enough or not enough to let us know, kind of make those connections visually and audio wise?
I think that, well, exactly, the setup is really important. So you need to, right at the very beginning, understand that this is a woman who is struggling. She's got two or three jobs. She's a caregiver. She's looking after her brother. She's desperately trying to buy the house before, before they're facing eviction. And then you open that up into the wider context of what is actually literally happening in and around Portland and what you're seeing on the streets there. And I think people are really going to relate to that. I mean, literally in the news yesterday, it felt that, sort of that wage increases or there are wage decreases. So I think there's a huge amount of what's going on around us right now that feels relatable, that people are going to understand when they hear and see this, in the film.
Absolutely. I have to wrap. Thank you both for your thoughtful answers and your time, and congrats on the film.
Thank you so much.